You know the smell. Even if you only go twice a year like you're supposed to, you know it. It's a clean, sterile, chemical smell, but it's not just chemical. It's the sharp, spicy scent of eugenol, clove oil, mixed with the faint, sugary bubblegum of fluoride rinse and the dry, powdery snap of a latex glove. To you, it's the smell of anxiety, of a bright light in your eyes and a metal hook scraping against enamel. To me, it was the smell of a paycheck. My name is Leo, and for 6 years I was the office manager at Dr. Alistair Finch's dental practice. Finch and Associates Family Dentistry. It was a quiet, high-end practice in one of those sterile, beige-colored medical parks. Dr. Finch was a good man, meticulous to a fault. His crown prep margins were art. His instruments were so organized they looked like a museum display. Our patients loved him. Our office was always calm. The sound of the office was a low, steady hum. The whir of the air compressor in the basement, the gentle shh of the hygienist's polisher, the soft classical music in the waiting room, and the quiet gurgle slurp of the saliva ejectors. Those sounds were my white noise. They were the soundtrack to my 9 to 5. Until they weren't. This happened 3 months ago. It was a Thursday in late winter, the kind of day that's dark by the time you clock out. We'd had a nightmare of an afternoon. A walk-in emergency. A high school kid who took a hockey puck to the mouth had thrown our entire schedule into chaos. Dr. Finch and our assistant Maria had stayed late to rebuild the kid's 2 front teeth. I, meanwhile, was stuck doing the quarterly supply audit, counting every last box of gauze, every vial of anesthetic, every tiny color-coded endodontic file. By 7 p.m., the last patient was gone. By 7:30 p.m., Dr. Finch and Maria had left, exhausted but proud of their work. "Lock up for me, Leo. You're a saint," Dr. Finch had said, clapping me on the shoulder. So I was alone. The building was tomb quiet. The other tenants in the medical park, a dermatologist, a chiropractor, were long gone. The parking lot outside our second-story window was a sea of black asphalt, glistening under the lonely orange lamps. The only sound was the click-clack of my keyboard as I finalized the inventory. Click-clack-clack, slurp. I froze. It was the sound of the suction, the little white tube that drinks the spit from your mouth. A faint, wet, gurgling slurp. It came from operatory 3, the one at the end of the hall. Compressor, I muttered to myself. The main air compressor in the utility closet powered all the chairs, the drills, the suctions. It cycled on and off all day. Sometimes a valve stuck. I finished the spreadsheet and stood up, rolling the crick out of my neck. The office was dark, save for the green glow of the exit signs and the cone of light from my desk lamp. I stretched, grabbed my coat, and started the closing up ritual. I walked down the main hallway. The operatories loomed on either side, dark doorways like missing teeth. Operatory 1, operatory 2, slurp, gurgle. It was louder this time, definitely from operatory 3. I sighed. If a valve was open, the compressor would run all night and burn itself out. Dr. Finch would have my hide. I stepped into the doorway of operatory 3. The room was black, silhouetted against the parking lot lights outside the window. The big, padded patient chair was a sleeping, leather-clad giant in the center of the room. The suction lines, the high-volume and the low-volume saliva ejector, were hanging in their cradles on the dental unit. They were off. They were silent. I stood there for a full 30 seconds, listening. Nothing. Just the hum of the building. "Tired," I said to the empty room. I turned to leave. Shh, slurp. The sound was so loud, so wet, so close that I yelped and jumped back, banging my elbow on the doorframe. I spun around. The sound had come from right beside me. The saliva ejector tube was no longer in its cradle. It was hanging in the air, writhing like a pale white worm, its blue plastic tip pointing right at me. It let out another horrible, gagging gurgle. I stared, my heart hammering against my ribs. Rationalize, Leo. The suction is always on, I told myself. The switch on the cradle must be broken. When I bumped it, the tube must have sprung out. That's all. I reached out a trembling hand and grabbed the tube. It was cold, vibrating faintly. I forced it back into its cradle. The click of its seating cut off the suction, and the room was silent again. "See?" I said, my voice shaky. "Broken switch." I backed out of the room, my eyes fixed on the white tube. It stayed put. I needed to get out. I was just tired, jumpy from the long day. I walked quickly to the front desk, grabbed my keys, and headed for the front door. Our door had a heavy-duty magnetic lock that buzzed when you hit the green exit button beside it. I hit the button. Bzzzt. The lock didn't release. I frowned and hit it again. Bzzzt. Nothing. The heavy glass door stayed firmly shut. "You've got to be kidding me," I whispered. I jiggled the handle. It was rock solid. The mag lock was fully engaged. I tried the override keypad. 1, 2, 3, 4. Beep, 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 beep. The small red light on the panel blinked at me. Access denied. "My code is 1-2-3-4, I said to the empty lobby. "It's always 1-2-3-4. I tried again. Beep, 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 beep. Red light. A cold prickle of something ran up my spine. It wasn't fear. Not yet. It was annoyance, laced with a sudden sharp unease. And that's when the lights went out. It wasn't a flicker. It was a thump, a heavy, definitive thud from the utility closet, and the entire office was plunged into absolute, suffocating blackness. My desk lamp, the exit signs, the lights from the parking lot, everything total power failure. For a moment, I was just a pair of lungs, gasping in the dark. Okay, Leo, breaker," I managed to say. My voice sounded thin and dead in the sound-dampening dark. I fumbled for my phone. Crap. It was still on my desk, plugged into the charger. I was on the other side of the lobby. I stood in the pitch black, and the silence was wrong. The normal hum of the building was gone. No compressor, no ventilation, no computers. The silence was so heavy it felt like a physical weight pressing against my eardrums. And into that silence, a new sound began. Scrape, chink. It was a sound I knew well. It was the sound of a dental scaler, a metal hook being dragged across a hard, uneven surface. It was coming from the hallway. Scrape, chink, scrape. My heart wasn't just hammering, it was trying to escape my chest. I flattened myself against the wall, my hands patting the drywall, trying to orient myself. The front desk was my goal. My phone was on the front desk. Scrape, chink. It was closer now. It sounded like it was coming from the sterilization bay, the alcove where we cleaned and bagged the instruments. Scrape, scrape, chink. I held my breath. I could smell it again. The clove oil. But it was wrong. It was thick, acrid, overpowering, like a whole bottle had been smashed. And under it, that other smell, the one you try to ignore, the coppery metallic tang of blood. I had to move. I slid along the wall, my feet shuffling on the carpet. 1 step, 2 steps. The lobby felt like a vast, empty cavern. My hand hit the corner of the reception desk. Yes. I fumbled across the laminate surface. Papers, a pen cup, my phone. I grabbed it and mashed the side button. The screen flashed to life, a blinding white rectangle in the dark. And in that first, shocking burst of light, I saw it. It was at the end of the hall. It was standing in the doorway of Operatory 3. I only saw it for a second before I dropped the phone, but the images burned into my retinas. It was tall, taller than Dr. Finch. It was wearing a pale blue dental gown, the kind we throw away after one use. But its arms were long, too long. They hung down past its knees. Its hands were just thick, dark clusters. And its head, God, its head. It wasn't a head. It was just the light, the big, circular, articulated operator's light from the dental chair. A perfect, blinding white circle aimed right at me. I screamed. The phone hit the carpet and the light went out, plunging me back into darkness. But it didn't matter. I could still see the white-hot circle seared onto the back of my eyelids. A new sound. Whan! The high-pitched, bone-vibrating sound of the dental drill. Not the air-powered one, the electric one. The one Dr. Finch used for root canals. The one that sounded like a million angry, tiny hornets. Whan! It was coming from the thing in the hall. I scrambled on the floor, found my phone, and clicked the flashlight on. I aimed it down the hall. The thing was gone. The hallway was empty, but the door to Operatory 3 was slowly swinging shut. Click. No, 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 I babbled, crawling backward on my hands and knees. Whan! The sound was behind me, in the lobby. I crab-walked backward and slammed into the front door, the one that wouldn't open. I was trapped. I spun around, phone light held out like a sword. The lobby was empty, but the sound of the drill was deafening, coming from everywhere at once, echoing off the walls. It was inside my head. I covered my ears, but it didn't help. The vibration was in my teeth, in my jawbone. And then, as suddenly as it started, it stopped. Silence. The heavy, oppressive silence from before. Scrape, chink. It was right outside the door, on the other side of the glass. I pointed my light at the door. There was nothing there, just the dark hallway of the medical building. Scrape. It was on the glass. Something was scratching the glass. My light beam found it. A dental mirror. The little round one. It was pressed against the outside of the glass, the handle held by nothing. The mirror tilted, trying to find the corner of my mouth. Chink, chink. A scaler joined it, a long, sharp hook, tapping, tapping, tapping at the glass, looking for plaque, looking for a way in. I was having a full-blown panic attack, hyperventilating, my back pressed so hard against the door I thought I'd phase through it. Then I heard the other sound, the one I'd been trying to ignore. Slurp, gurgle. It was in the lobby with me. I tore my eyes from the door and swept the light across the waiting room. The chairs were empty. The ficus plant was still. The magazine rack was tidy. Gurgle, slurp. It was coming from Mr. Gums. Mr. Gums was our mascot, a horrible, giant, 2-foot-tall anatomical model of a set of pink gums and perfect white teeth. It sat on a table in the kids' corner. We used it to teach brushing. The light hit it. The plastic, oversized mouth of Mr. Gums was wet. A thick, ropey strand of what looked like saliva was dripping from one of the molars onto the children's table. Slurp. The sound was coming from it. The giant plastic mouth was flexing, the lips pulling back, the suction sound gagging and wet. The drill sound was back, but it wasn't the root canal drill. It was the other one, the high-speed drill, the one that screams like a banshee. It was coming from the hallway again. I was trapped between the scratching at the door, the gurgling, wet-mouthed model, and the screaming drill. I looked down the hall. The thing was back. The thing with the operator's light for a head. It was standing in the doorway of the sterilization bay. It raised one of its long, long arms. The hand was no longer a dark cluster. I could see it in my flashlight beam. It was a clattering, writhing mass of metal tools, forceps, mirrors, scalers, and explorers, all fused together by thick, waxy, pink ropes of the stuff we use to take impressions. It took a step into the hall. It didn't walk. It scraped. The sound was its foot, a mass of old, rusty burrs dragging on the linoleum. Scrape, chink. The operator's light on its shoulders swiveled, the beam catching me. It was blindingly bright. I was a rabbit. "Open!" a voice hissed. The voice was 1,000 whispers, layered and dry. It sounded like the air-water syringe. "Open wide." The thing scraped toward me. The drill sound screamed in my ears. The clove and iron smell was so thick I gagged. "No!" I screamed. I wasn't an office manager. I was just prey. I looked around, frantic. My eyes landed on the reception desk, on the heavy, marble-based Employee of the Month plaque. It was always Maria. I grabbed it. It was heavy. The thing was halfway down the hall. The light was in my eyes. I did the only thing I could. I turned my back on the thing, hefted the marble base, and smashed it against the glass front door. The glass didn't break. It was tempered, thick. The plaque just bounced off with a dull thud. Scrape, scrape. It was getting closer. "It's just time for your checkup," the air voice hissed. "You're overdue." I screamed again, a raw, primal sound, and hit the glass again and again. Thud, thud, thud. Behind me, the drill sound stopped. I risked a look. The thing was standing right at the entrance to the lobby, 10 feet away. Its light head was tilted, as if curious. Click. The light on its head went out. The lobby was plunged back into darkness, lit only by my phone. And in that awful, sudden silence, I heard the slurp again. Mr. Gums was gurgling, and I heard the chink of the scaler on the front door. They had me surrounded. The thing in the hallway raised its other hand. The pink, waxy fingers parted, and a single sharp stainless steel explorer, the shepherd's hook, emerged, pointing at me. "We just want to see you. Smile." The voice was different now. It was gurgling. It was coming from Mr. Gums, from the hallway, from the door. That was it. I broke. I wasn't thinking about the door anymore. I wasn't thinking about my job. I was thinking about the window, Dr. Finch's office. I bolted. I ran past the gurgling Mr. Gums, vaulted the reception desk, and kicked open the door to Dr. Finch's private office. The drill sound was instantaneous right behind me. Scrape, chink, scrape. The thing was fast. It was running. I slammed the heavy oak door of the office and fumbled for the lock. A deadbolt. I shot it home. Slam. Something hit the other side of the door. The whole frame shuddered. Scrape, chink, scrape, scrape. The metal tools were digging at the wood. The drill started, and I saw a puff of sawdust burst from the wood near the lock. It was drilling through the door. I backed away, shining my light. Dr. Finch's office was normal. A big desk, diplomas on the wall, a window, a 2-story drop to the parking lot. "No," I whimpered. The drilling stopped. Slam. The door bowed in. Slam. The wood around the deadbolt splintered. I looked at the window. I looked at the door. I grabbed Dr. Finch's heavy, leather-bound desk chair and hurled it at the window. The glass shattered in a cascade of noise that felt holy. The night air, cold and tasting of rain, flooded the room. The office door burst open. The thing stood there, its operator light head snapping on, flooding the room with that terrible accusatory light. I didn't wait. I scrambled onto the desk, put my foot on the windowsill, and jumped. I'm lucky I'm not a better athlete. I didn't jump. I fell. I hit the decorative shrubbery by the front entrance, a mess of branches and mulch that tore at my clothes but broke my fall. I landed in a heap, my ankles screaming in pain, but I was alive. I was outside. The alarm. The window break must have set off the building's main alarm. A horrific, deafening whoop, whoop, whoop split the night. Red and blue strobes from the alarm box on the side of the building started flashing. I looked up. The thing was in the window, its light head swiveled, sweeping the parking lot. It was looking for me. I crawled, dragging my bad ankle behind a parked car. The light swept over my hiding place. It paused. Then slowly, the light retracted. The thing was gone. I lay on the cold asphalt, shaking, smelling the rain and listening to the alarm. I lay there until the first police car, and then a second, and then Dr. Finch's Mercedes came screaming into the lot. The official story is that I was overtired, stressed, and had a panic attack. I thought I was locked in, and in my paranoia, I hallucinated and smashed Dr. Finch's window to escape. The police found the front door, unlocked, the power on, the mag lock functioning perfectly. There was no damage to the office door. There were no scratch marks. Mr. Gums was dry. The instruments were all sterile and neatly bagged in the autoclave. The only thing they found was the fire extinguisher lying on the floor in the hallway. In my panic, I must have grabbed it. They said I used it to break the window. I don't remember that. I remember the chair. But maybe they're right. Dr. Finch was kind, but distant. He paid for the window. He also accepted my resignation, effective immediately. He said I needed to rest. So that's my story. I'm seeing a therapist. She says it was a micro-sleep event, a waking nightmare brought on by stress. I'd believe her. I really would. But it's been 3 months, and I still can't get the smell of clove oil out of my nose. And I haven't been able to sleep. Not because of the memories, but because of the sound. Sometimes in the dead of night I wake up. I'm lying in my bed and I can hear it, faintly, coming from the bathroom, the high-pitched, angry, bone-deep. And my teeth. God, my teeth. They ache. All of them. All the time. It's a deep, hollow ache. A terrible, empty feeling. As if they're not mine anymore. As if they're waiting for something to come back and check on them. I haven't told my therapist that. But I'm telling you, whatever you do, don't skip your appointments. Don't let yourself get overdue. They really, really hate that.